Hey, how's it going? Hello, hello. We're back. I'm sorry, it's been like a week since I've streamed, but we're on a new schedule. So that's good. New time, new schedule. Here, let me... Alright, I gotta move over a little bit. Here we are. Oh, I forgot the go live notification. Let me do that. We may have a problem over on the YouTube side. I swapped to a low latency on the YouTube side, and it's complaining that I'm streaming at an unsupported resolution. So I'm a little concerned about that. I'm gonna check on that real quick here too. Do a little housekeeping here. It looks okay though. Just checking to see what the latency on YouTube is. Oh, it's only a few seconds. It seems like you're resolution limited if you go for the low latency option. So it's not letting me stream at 4K, which is probably fine. I guess we have to decide whether resolution is more important or latency is more important. All right, let me do what I said I was going to do, which is the live stream alert. All right, well, let's get back into it, huh? We're still working on our ECS, and I haven't really touched it in a bit. I've been kind of busy. So, where did we leave off? I've made some questionable decisions, like having a constant, which is the number of components types that we support. Just having like a hard, like just a capped array at that number. I don't remember why I implemented that. Instead of just having it be a list. Oh, I think it's so that I could index by ID instead of having a separate index ID lookup. So I think that's why we did that. I have a function here where we can get a component type from an ID, which will either return the component ID in that array of component types, or it'll create that component type for us. So we have that, which we need to be able to add components, because we're kind of lazily initializing this thing, and we're only going to register the components as we need them. We might change our mind about that at some point, but I think that's useful for now. So in the archetype, Oh, we do a thing where when we're making an archetype, we can actually get the size of the largest component. I don't know if I love this GD script style of like no brackets in C#. I was doing it a little bit to try it out, but I don't know if I like that. I think I expect to be able to see the bracket. The braces, the curly braces. I don't love it when it's just a single line, but I'd rather not make the line super long. And then we have our component type. Oh, I've done this. I've added a list of archetypes. Oh, so here's something I've done since we streamed, is I've made an abstract class for component type, and then I made concrete instances of it, component type T's. And I've used this pattern in a couple of places now. Like I'm using it here in component type. Let's move the composition over. And I'm also using that here with chunk collection so that we can have an abstract generic chunk collection that doesn't specify a definite type, and then we have instances of it which do, like inherited classes that do have a specified type. And we're doing that so that we can store a list of chunk collections or something like that without having to have separate lists, one for each type. But the chunk collections can still make use of the type, and the reason we need to do that is because we need to be able to return spans of specific types from the chunks, which are now not type specific, so that we can just have this list of chunk, because otherwise we would need list of chunk T, which would be fine. Like for this example, list of chunk T is fine. But there's a reason why I switched over to this, and I don't remember what it is. I think it's so that I can just have a list of chunk collection with these abstract properties and methods, and then we implement them in a type-specific variant. Yeah, that's why we do this. So yeah, there's some changes we've made. We also, the component types are a class because there should only ever be one of them, which is makes it pretty easy. So I've started just adding a list of all the archetypes here. Hey, Fox Shadow. How's it going? I'm trying something different today on the YouTube side, so please let me know if it seems to be weird at all. OBS is complaining that I am using an invalid format on YouTube because I am trying to stream 4K at low latency, and apparently low latency mode is limited to 1440p. So I think I'm being forced to stream at 1440p, but we have low latency now, so I don't know if you noticed or cared about the latency before. I'm gonna have to choose between low latency at lower resolution or higher latency at higher resolution. But how are you doing? How's your dev? How's dev life? 1440p at 60 FPS. Yeah, I'm limited to that. It's so low. It's unacceptably low. I get that we don't really need the 4K. Oh. I just peaked. My microphone just peaked. That's not supposed to be possible. The FPS is erratic on YouTube. It's probably a consequence of the format. I think it's upset that I'm doing this at low latency at 4K, and I think we're having some problems. But I don't think I can change this while running. Because this is all being handled by OBS. I don't think I can do anything about this. Which is unfortunate. Yeah, it says the stream health is poor. Yeah, it's because I'm using a resolution that's not accepted. Eep. Hey, it won't let me change anything. It won't let me change back to normal latency either. Oh well, we tried something and it didn't work, so... Stream itself isn't tearing or anything. Audio is good, just the FPS is erratic. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to go back to using normal latency. I'm supposed to have a limiter. Sorry anyone who wants to watch game dev. We're like dealing with stream stuff here. I put a limiter back on so that hopefully my audio doesn't peak again. I didn't think the latency was that bad, so I think I'm going to go back to normal latency. But thanks for helping me. Thanks for helping me troubleshoot this, Fox. All right, so we're still working on ECS stuff. What's next? When we make a new archetype, we can figure out what the maximum size of the maximum number of items per chunk are now. What's the soundtrack? It's from Pretzel Rocks. It is the Calming Cinematics. It's kind of the only radio station left on Pretzel Rocks that I have access to that's like long enough. It's 4 hours. I don't know if their interface is just inaccurate, but like I used to use their lo-fi radio, which used to be like 11 hours of music. It's now 7 minutes of music. Their chill radio also used to be like 40 hours of music or something like that, and now it's like 71 minutes. So I think they're having some licensing issues over there. So we're going to be listening to this radio station a lot until this gets resolved. There's a couple other good stations we'll try. Yeah, apparently it's really hard to find music that is both YouTube and Twitch safe. Really like that previous track. Oh, Pretzel's supposed to be posting the track names in my stream, and it's not doing it. That's weird. Let me see if I can find that last track for you. Is there a history? Is there a play history? Oh, I don't have a history. That's unfortunate. I wish it was posting. I wonder why it's not posting in the Twitch chat. I'll have to look into that. Doodliest Catch. Hello. Hope everything's good. Good. It's okay. I didn't stream yesterday because I hurt my back on Monday. And I was just not good. I'm not doing great either right now. I'm standing. The only thing I can do that doesn't hurt is to stand and walk. Sitting or lying down is just like terrible. But I hope you're doing well. So we're just standing. That's all we're doing. But we're on our new work schedule, so we're streaming later here. We're probably not going to go as long. We're probably not going to go super long because I'm not used to standing all day. I used to do that all the time. I used to like have a much more walking oriented job. And I was used to standing all the time, but I'm weak now. I'm weak and it is not easy to stand all day. What did you do to your back? I was just lifting stuff. I was trying to do too much. Me and some colleagues were packing a bunch of stuff for like 6 hours on Monday. And I just was doing too much, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to stream. It had been a week since I streamed. I need to get back into it. Yeah, so what are we doing? We've got a function to add a component. Oh, what we can't do yet is actually move the entity's data over to the new archetype. Let's do that. That's a to-do. Let's tackle the to-do here. We'll probably run into some missing functionality as we try to do this. And it'll be obvious what we need to do otherwise. But we're just trying to get back into it. I feel like it's going to take a while for people to get used to this new time, especially because I haven't been streaming regularly. So we're just going to chill today, kind of just get back into the groove here. Although we're at a new time, so maybe we'll get some new people. You're going to be here lurking a bit, working on your project. Hell yeah. I don't know if you've ever shared your project in the Discord, but I'd love to see it if you haven't. I love seeing the updates. Fox Shadow has been posting some incredible work in progress videos, but I love GIFs or screenshots too. It doesn't need to be a whole video. It's impressive that it is. You're chilling and working on yours as well? Hell yeah. Yeah, we used to be like a chill morning co-working stream. Now we're going to be like more of a chill afternoon co-working stream. So the vibe is the same, but the time has changed a little. We're going to work our way up to longer streams. I think today we'll still do my usual like 2 hours. But we're going to work our way up to like 4-hour streams. It's going to be awesome. I freed up a lot of time in my work schedule during the middle of the day here to stream. So hopefully we'll get more productive. But it's amazing how hard it is to focus when you're experiencing pain, like constant pain. It's amazing how tough it is to focus during those times. You start to take not being in pain for granted. You'll check out the Discord? Hell yeah. I can't wait till the Discord is just full of developers. That's gonna be great. All right, so if we need to move the entity's data over to the new archetype, we've got the new archetype. We will either fetch it from the graph, from the graph edges, component type graph edges, or we'll find it in the list of archetypes by searching the composition that we would get back by adding the component type to our existing component. And that works because compositions are defined by their component types. Component types to equal based on their ID. Love it. Okay, so that's all good. Yeah, we don't appreciate all of the time. Everything doesn't hurt. I know, it's incredible. It's incredible. You just go around not hurting and you're like, this is like a blessing. Even after just a couple of days of just like constant pain, like especially for what I'm dealing with right now, which is like the only thing that I can do to not be in terrible pain is to stand and or walk. Lying down hurts a bit, and sitting down is like shooting pain through my leg. So like I just can't sit. And like I like standing, but I'm like really tired all the time now because I'm not used to it. And where do you think you've been for Lansky? I'd ask you the same thing. No, we were just talking. I've transitioned my schedule, so I was busy kind of doing that, but we're on our new schedule. And then I missed yesterday because I injured my back at work, and I was just in too much pain yesterday to stream. But I'm doing a little better today. Maybe sciatic nerve. Yeah, that's my suspicion, dudeliest. My sister is prone to that, and I've largely avoided it, but it's been hitting me more. It's been hitting me more sitting down too long. I've noticed little bits, little pinches like that. This is the first time it's been like debilitating though. Back at me, huh? Yeah. Yeah, the schedule is exciting. We're going to start streaming from like whatever time it is currently for you now. I think my goal is to start about an hour earlier than this current time. So for me, that would be about 10:30 Pacific. Stream from about 10:30 to about maybe 1:30 or so. As a baseline, that's like a good 3 hours, and then we'll try to add in a little time on either side eventually. Try to work our way up to that. I might stream a little shorter today just because I am tired and in pain, but yeah, I wanted to get back to it. I felt like I've been missing too much. All right, so we're working on moving entities between archetypes. This song is very silly. It's called Baroque architecture. I like that. I like this. Another good thing for pain. True. That is true. That is true, dude. Least. I can't really hang with that nowadays. I get really bad anxiety. I also can't really do caffeine much either for a similar reason. I don't know. I'm just getting old. I'm getting old and I can't hang with stuff anymore. 1930 right now, so you're talking 18 to 2100. Yeah, something like that for Lansky. That's pretty late for you then, huh? Well, I appreciate you hanging out. Same with you for caffeine? Yeah, it's wild. I treat myself to like, I go to a diner every week, like a breakfast diner once a week when I go to the office. And I can have like 2 cups of coffee, 2 little cups of coffee, like diner cups. If I have any more than that, I'm just like blazing for the rest of the day. And then at home, I just drink decaf pretty much. I'm not active enough to like take advantage of the caffeine, so I'm just like sitting at home, just like wigging out and like getting like heart palpitations, and I'm like, I don't need this. For that, you just built a tolerance. You know, I used to have an incredible tolerance back in the day, but I don't know, something happened to me. Something happened to me and I just can't hang anymore. Yeah, you're just sitting in place all like jacked up on caffeine. Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good time. All right, so we have our new archetype. We have our old archetype. Either way, we get it. We get our new archetype one of three ways. We either find it directly from the graph edge. Or we find it in the list of archetypes and then we add it to the graph edge so that we don't have to do this search every time. Or we make a new archetype and we add it to the graph edge. I love this syntax, this graph edges with this. So you can declare a new, or you can declare a same, you can say, give me this struct, but give me this struct with this field filled in. So, because a graph edge has two fields, it has an add component and a remove component. And if I've gotten the graph edge and it doesn't have an add component, maybe it has a remove component. Maybe we've searched remove component and I don't want to delete that. And I can just very simply say, give me this existing struct with whatever fields it already has filled out or assigned, however you want to say that, but with this field set to this. I love that. I love the simplicity of that syntax. I've never gotten to use something as nice and simple as that. I'm loving these new C# features. All right, so we're moving the entity's data over. And we're going to do this. We should probably get its data, delete it from the existing thing, and then add it to the new thing. We're gonna make sure this is like atomic as best we can. I mean, we're not really gonna do much about it right now, but eventually we want to make sure that's an atomic action. The removing and adding. We want to be very, very careful that half of it doesn't fail. That either the removal fails or the addition fails. So if we want to get it, so let's just get it and store it here for a moment. Oh, this happens on the world. I feel like I need a separate class that's like an entity manager that holds these functions, these like add component, remove component, stuff like that. I feel like I should have that on an entity manager, but right now we're just going to put it in the world directly. The world is like the class that stores all of the information about an area. As long as we just have one world, I guess it doesn't really matter. A lot of ECS systems will have multiple worlds. You'll have like maybe a physics world or like a rendering world. Or whatever reason you have to have separate worlds, like completely separate game data. But we don't really need that yet. We might someday, but at the moment we're not going to think about anything like that. Need to adjust my camera a little bit here. All right, that's better. All right, so let's get all our entity data. Let's pull it out of the existing where it's currently stored. And so to do that, we've got our old archetype. So we need to get, and what do we have? We just have an entity ID. That's all we have. So on the archetype has a dictionary of entity indices. You were about to redeem a stretch, but maybe not. Yeah, I mean, stretching helps a little, but it's like really subtle. I'm kind of just doing it, but I appreciate it. I definitely paused the sit stand redemption. I was like, nobody is going to make me sit today. That would be worth like 20,000 channel points for me to sit for like 5 minutes. You can't pay me enough channel points to make me sit down right now. I did add a new one, a new like high roller channel point reward that I think is fun that no one's used yet, which is like Raid Master. So like you can pick where we raid at the end of the stream. I think that'd be fun. I haven't used it yet. Yeah, I've never seen that. I haven't seen that anywhere, and I struggled to come up with like the more high roller, the more expensive channel point redeems. I've been struggling to think of some good ones. Okay, so we have our indices, and the indices thing here is this. It's just a struct that has index for within a chunk or between chunks, like that's your chunk index, and that's your within the chunk. So I'm calling it interchunk and intra-chunk. So your interchunk is going to be like, which chunk are you in? And then your interchunk is going to be like, where inside the chunk are you? So you can look up an entity ID and get that information. This is going to be like pulling the thread of a sweater. We're going to do this and we're going to be like, well, we don't actually have a process for like building chunk collections yet, which we don't. So we're going to need to do that. We're going to keep pushing down into these more and more archaic things here. So, but how are we going to store? What's the best way to do this? We should probably go through all of the old archetype components and copy those over, and then add in the value associated with the new component. That's probably what we should do. Rather than just going through all the new ones and then checking every time if it's this new one or not. It's probably the best way to do it. But what we need to do is we need to figure out our workflow for getting these spans. Your game seems very technical while you're over here making an ADS in your game. I mean, hey, an ADS is great. And there's nothing useful about what I'm doing technically right now. This isn't even a game. This is just an ECS. This is just like a system for managing data, which the data of which does not exist yet. So you're making a game. I'm just making a framework over here. And, you know, you could say, why are you spending months on this? The gamble is that it is better for me in the long run. It makes it easier for me to organize this, as well as making it more performant to do a simulation-heavy game like this. But I could just have not done this. I could have just pushed through and kept working in a node in like the typical Godot node framework. It would have been fine. But this is a very long project, so I'm willing to spend time on this. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to get the chunk collection, and we need to get the span. But we can only get the span from... Okay, this chunk list property should not be a public property. People shouldn't be able to directly refer to the chunk. Or maybe they should. Maybe they get the chunk they want. They pull the chunk they want, and then they ask the chunk collection. Maybe we implement the No, the enumerator already is a thing. Maybe the enumerator needs to be implemented down here. I don't think we can have an abstract enumerator, though. No, we can't. So we would need... We gotta decide how we're gonna do this. Yeah, you hadn't even considered planning like that. Iron Age. What version of Godot did you start with? Hey, Iron Age. I actually was very lucky. I started with 4. So I'm pretty new to Godot. I've only been using Godot for a bit over a year. I'm loving it. And I think it was kind of helpful to start with 4 because I don't have 4 is a really huge change from 3. Right now we're on 4.3, which I'm loving, but I'm already looking covetously at everything that's available in a 4.4. I'm excited to get there. All right, so how are we going to get the spans? Because the thing about the spans is that you need to know the type, the exact chunk collection type that you want. I guess this is static, so you just need to know which type you're trying to do. Maybe that is how you do it. Maybe that is how I structured it this way. So you'd say chunk collection type and type. You know what type you're looking for. And then you grab the span for that type. Yeah, we need more functions on this chunk collection. So we're going to need to be able to get, and we're going to need to be able to get and set specific things within a chunk. We'll have to decide how we want to do that. What's coming in 4.4? Oh, some exciting things. Let me bring it up. Here's the stuff they're already showing off. So you can already get Dev 4. Interactive in-game editing is the really exciting thing that's coming. So you'll be able to debug your running game from within the editor. You can pause the game, click elements within the scene, and eventually embed the running game window inside the editor. This isn't ready yet, the embedding the running game inside the window inside the editor. But Yeldem Dev did a bunch of work on this. And so you can click in here and click on the elements in-game. This is an in-game window. They've kind of stacked it on top, so it kind of looks like it's part of the editor, but you can see that it's a separate window. So it's just the game window running, and you can click on the elements and it brings up the appropriate object in the inspector. And you can step through frame by frame. You can pause it. It's very cool. Very cool. That's the thing most exciting. Probably the most exciting thing about 4.4 is that. There's also some object snapping stuff for 3D, which is pretty cool. So you can use ray collision stuff to like figure out, to do some simple placement things, which is pretty cool. I don't know much about this stuff. Something to do with shaders. More stuff. Some simple cutting. There's one more thing. What's the thing that's like really exciting? Not really exciting, but oh, there's some read-only span stuff in here. There's something about adding a dictionary type dictionaries. Oh yeah, GDScript is adding type dictionaries, which is pretty cool. There's a ton. There's so many things. But yeah, those are some of the highlights. Very exciting. But how's it going, Iron Age? I don't know if you're familiar with what we're kind of working on. We're working on kind of an isometric FTL-like kind of game, like a Star Trek simulator kind of game, where you have little crews that you direct around a spaceship. Right now, we're deep in the code. We're building our own little ECS framework, which is very foolish, but we're doing it. We're kind of deep into it. I'm excited to hear what anyone else is working on. I apologize for the frame rate. We're having some YouTube issues over on the YouTube side here with the frame rate. We tried something out with latency, and we kind of messed up our our YouTube stream. It'll be back to normal next time. I'm just gonna accept the normal latency and not try to push the latency down. All right. So to move the entity, we need to get the entity's data out of each of the chunks that it's in. And we need to move it over to the new archetype and put it into the chunks of that archetype. So to get that, we need to be able to index into this list of chunks. The most straightforward way to do it is to just grab the chunk collection for that component, grab the chunks for that component, or get the list of chunks and get a specific chunk back. I think we need to handle that as like a property, as like a getter on a property, and just encapsulate all of that. I don't think we want to do that otherwise. Okay, so if I'm going to do that, so on our archetype, we have our entity indices. Let's start with that. So let's say variable indices is, no, it's not an archetype, is old archetype, oh, new, old archetype dot chunk indices. Why is that not available? Oh, it's called entity indices. Just give them the entity ID. It uses the whole ID, right? It should. It should use the whole ID. That means if an entity dies... if the entity dies, we'll just clean it up, because we know what archetype an entity belongs to. Do we? Yeah, we do. We have that somewhere. We have a list. Yeah, we have a list of archetypes by entity index. Or by entity ID. No, it's probably index. Had to step away. You're looking forward to type dictionaries. I know, that's like the littlest thing, but it's like it's like one of the things that people are most excited for. I think the in-editor stuff is going to be really cool. The in-game editor. Why can't I set a number here? So. Yeah, you've been kind of lurking for a bit. You love FTL, and none of the successors have remotely captured the feel of the game. I know. That's something that really scares me. I'm not going to lie. That's like a warning. That's like a very strong warning to me to be really, really careful. Because I agree, none of the successors have really captured the vibe of it. And I'm a little afraid because of the way I have this planned. I'm a little afraid that we're going to end up with like a 3D chess. Because like Star Trek introduced the idea of 3D chess, and like on TV, it looks pretty cool. But it's like, I don't think it really adds anything to it. So I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared about having my stack of everything. Like, we just draw out like 1 deck, 2 deck, 3 deck, 4 deck. These are all this is just a cube. Oh, can I only do 4? right now because of the way I've limited this. Yeah, eventually there'll be 5. But yeah, I'm a little scared because it's like the same thing, but it's just like this stack. And so it's just a 3D version of it. And like, I don't know if that's intrinsically more interesting. I think it's like orthogonal to the things that make FTL cool. So it's like by itself, that doesn't mean much, but I'm hoping we'll be able to capture that magic somehow. What would you consider a successor of FTL? Oh, there's a few of them. And they aren't super memorable to me, and I always pay attention to them when they come out on Steam, and they usually don't review super well. Convoy's a good example. There was one that was like a straight FTL style game, and I don't remember what it was called, and I watched it on Steam for a while, and it did not do well. Breachway is an interesting example, which is not the same because it's like a card game. So Breachway is a terrible example because that's more like a... Yeah, that's a terrible example. What's a good example? Convoy's a good example. Oh, there's a lazy 40k reskin. Oh, yeah, there is. What is that called? That's called Void War, isn't it? Void War. Let me see if that's true. That one looks kind of interesting to me. But yeah, that's like, this is like straight 40k. It looks kind of cool. I love 40k. I've been playing Space Marine 2 and enjoying that. Yeah, the deck building in Breachway, because you don't really manage the crew in the same way. But yeah, this might actually be kind of cool. I don't want to judge this one yet. They really nail the ship designs. So yeah, maybe this will do it. Maybe this will achieve some of that FTL follow up. I say the more the merrier. You were looking forward to Breachway until you saw the deck building element and was disappointed. You think you'd rather just play a mod of FTL? That's the worry. That's the worry anytime you try to make a game that's basically like a successor to another game. It's like, are they going to play this? Or are they just going to look at it and be like, I'm going to go play my game? That's like you see an RPG and you're like, oh, that's cool. And you're like over there reinstalling Skyrim because you're like, I want to play an RPG. I'm not going to play this new one. I'm just going to go back and play Skyrim with like 30 mods installed. For Lansky, you had to drive home. I may continue to stream now. Thank you. Thank you for permission. Yeah. It's not out yet. Okay, it's not out yet, so we can't pass judgment on this one. But I'm curious. I'm curious to see. Hope they don't get sued. So should the indices refer? So this is part of a dictionary. For Lansky, yes, scary when a game just reminds you of a better one and you just go back to that one. Yeah, that's got to be heartbreaking for the developer. Hopefully they'll add some more to the formula. Yeah, I would hope. So this is a dictionary where you look up the ID and you get a set of indices back. I feel like I need to record the ID on the indices. I need to record an ID on here, I think. Just so that we're sure that it matches. think that's a good idea. Because I like to defend against potential hash collisions. So we want to make sure if indices, entity ID. So if it doesn't match the entity ID that we were passed in, then we have a problem. And if that's the case, then what we need to do, then we've had a hash collision of some kind, and we need to go through and just figure out. So this one needs, so we need to actually start adding things to this struct. We're gonna make it I-equatable with an entity ID. Gaming Goddess, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Hello, welcome in. Welcome to the chat. Okay, why are you upset? Oh, we need a reference. Okay. Gotta run. Good luck communing with the machine spirits. Thank you, Iron Age. Thanks for hanging out. Have a great rest of your day. Your headphones aren't working right now. Can you chat instead? By the way, which game do you stream the most? All right, I'm gonna engage. Potential bot chatter identified. I'm going to engage anyway. I prefer to engage on the off chance it's not. I've met some cool people that have an interesting way of engaging on the internet. I feel like I should rename this struct to something more verbose, like entity chunk indices, but that I hate doing that. But indices is like criminally like vague as far as what it refers to. So if indices, so we can actually say if indices is not equal to entity ID. Oh, I would need to add a static. I would need to add an operator. We need to override the operator. We can say if, I'll do that eventually. If not indices dot equals entity ID. We're good. We're doing good. Oh yeah, I forgot I have to. Let's see what their ask is. I'm always interested to see what they want. All right. So if the indices, so if we pull an indices out with the lookup by entity ID, but the entity ID doesn't actually match, then we know we've hit like a hash collision. We've had a hash collision problem. Count from a month ago. RPW Jansen, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Thanks for hopping on in here. All right. Oh man, they're asking the hard questions. They're asking me what my favorite game is. What is my favorite game, chat? That's like a really hard question. That's like whenever you're really into something and someone asks a very glancing question about it and you're like, you resist the urge to go like way off the deep end. But it's so hard to just casually answer this question about this area that you're like obsessed with. That's how I feel when someone's like, what's your favorite game? I'm like, do you mean like this year? Or like... I'm just going to tell them that's a hard question, but we're working on an FTL-like game right now. It depends on so many variables. Yeah, fave is not equal to the game that you'd play if stuck on an island for months. That's a good point. Yeah, this is giving chatbot. They're like, oh, I can't hear you, but please engage with the chat with me. But still interested to see. Still interested to see. I don't know about FTL. Can you tell me about that? Oh, okay. FTL Faster Than Light is a game made by... I don't know how to say a game made by Subset Games. I hate that. A game is a game made by Subset about being a starship captain. All right. So we got our indices. We've identified that this indices doesn't match. So we've had a hash collision of some kind. And then what we need to do is we need to actually go through. We need to actually go through the index. We need to find the index of. Can you index of a dictionary? I feel like you can, right? In C#. Old archetype dot. How do I get the dot entity indices dot values? So you say values, and then we use as the index. We say indices equals old archetype dot entity indices dot value. So we get the values, and then we index into that values array using the old archetype dot entity indices dot keys dot index of. Is there not an index of for the keys array, or is that not how you access? Here, what do keys give us? Keys is a key collection. Gets a collection. So maybe we just say something like index of. Do we say something like array dot index of? Is that like a static? There's an interop. How have I done this previously? You just took a break from work and your stream is coming in your suggestions, so you decided to join and have some fun? Yeah, that's great. All right, that's cool. Maybe not a bot, y'all. Maybe this is a real person. This is why you engage. This is why you engage, because there's no room for nuance on the internet. There's no nuance, there's no subtlety, there's no context. You kind of just, people just say stuff. Index of, get the index of a key in dictionary C#. There's got to be an easy way to do this. There's contains. Oh, foo.toList.index of. That's fine. Oh, we could get the value because the value has the index. Oh, I love that. I love that. let's do that. We just say values, because we've injected the entity ID into, we could just say toArray. Oh, that uses link. I don't want to do that. ToList. Oh, that also uses link. Oh, all of this uses link. That's probably really slow, but it's probably fine. No, they said their headphones aren't working. I've got faith. I've got faith this is a real person. Until they ask me for my Instagram because they have commissions. They want a commission from me. Actually, those are usually real people too. Just real people that are desperate. I guess there's no problem with using link. I don't know why I don't like using link. Just like, to me, link means poor performance. That's what it means to me. Let's just do toArray.index. Well, we don't need the index of. We just need to find the value. We're just gonna get that. We're gonna just say for each variable. For each indices. I don't love that. Oh, that's terrible. Indices is a thing that has multiple indexes, so I've called it indices. We should say for value in old archetype dot entity indices dot values. So we're going to iterate through. Oh, value is a thing that's used. So we could say I'm going to say key value, which is horrible and wrong. For Lansky, can confirm, Link hung your VM for about 15 minutes at work today, iterating 11,000 objects. Yeah, 11,000 objects. That's nothing. Is my audio peaking a little bit? I feel like my microphone has gotten more sensitive. It used to be quieter. Maybe I'm too close to it. You're enjoying the stream. I mean, that's great. Dulius catch with the hydrate. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. They're going to ask me something. Audio's good, all caps. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. All right. I didn't stream for a week, and now I'm like concerned about everything. I'm like, my whole setup must be terrible. All right, let's see their question. This is where they ask me something unhinged and get banned. Each indices. That's terrible. Entity indices, let's just call it that. For entity indices, for each entity set of entity indices, entity indices, oops. Oh, they like almost, there we go. So if that's true, then indices, oh, we have to do it this way. Actually, let's say if not, then we continue. We can write that more easily. Continue. Okay. Otherwise, indices equals entity indices, and we break. All right. They really look at this. Part of loop's body can be converted into link expression, but another get enumerator method will be used. They really want me to use link, and I'm really suspicious of using link. Link is fine, especially if it's not in a performance like sensitive thing, but this is adding a component. We're gonna do this all the time, and this branch is very unlikely. This is the, I'm gonna actually write this here. This is gonna be the check for hash collision. This is the hash, so this is the check for hash collision branch. And this is very unlikely. Furlansky, good stuff. Good stuff. I feel like between Twitch and YouTube, I feel like I'm one of those people, like, you know when you're at a dinner table and there's like maybe 6 people at the dinner table? Like once you've reached the critical mass at a dinner table where there's 2 or more conversations happening simultaneously, and you happen to be sitting at the edge of 2 different conversation circles, so you're like trying to be involved in both of them, or at least listen to both of them and engage in like whichever one's the more interesting. That's me trying to like respond to both Twitch chat and YouTube chat at the same time, who can't see each other for Twitch TOS reasons. All right, so if there's a hash collision, easy. We'll go through, we'll brute force our way through here until we find the index that actually is associated with our entity. If we don't find it, that'll be a problem. We can add some error checking here later. I'm not going to add a lot of error checking right now. I don't really care. So we have our indices, and in case you've forgotten or you're new here, in case you don't remember from me talking about it 5 minutes ago, these indices give us an index within the chunk. Oh, that's this one. Within the chunk, the intra chunk, like where are we within a chunk, and then the inter chunk, which is like which chunk are we in. That's important information. We'll make you that kid in school passing notes back and forth for us because we can't talk directly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Polanski will be like, here, pass this note to Fox Shadow. All right, so we have our indices. Sorry, I'm a little unfocused today. I mean, I'm always unfocused, but I have a good excuse today because I'm in like constant back pain. So we're gonna work a little slow today. Pass this note, but you can't read it. Well, that you don't. I can't help you with that. Sorry, but I can't help with that one. All right. So we have our indices. So we know what chunk and where within the chunk. So now what we need to do let's go through the old archetypes. So let's say for each variable chunk collection in old archetype dot, not entity chunks. We want something else. What do we want? It's called collections. Okay. I should probably rename that to chunk collections. I really don't like the chunk collection name, but I can't think of a better way of describing it. Oh, who used this? Who used this before we rename this? Who is using this? Line 15. Ah. Okay, we can call it collections. I don't care. Like I think I overnamed things. Like graph edges by component data. We don't need to name this because we can mouse over it and see that you get graph edges by component data. Like it's in the dictionary's type signature. Like I think using the full name is like overkill. But I've kind of forgotten how good it is to have like a dope IDE. Like I've been just using Godot's built-in IDE, which is cute, and I actually really like how minimalist it is. But it's like I've forgotten how good it is to just have like a crazy IDE like writer that just has so many features of it. So I don't need to do these long ass verbose names because it just tells me just the type definition is just a tooltip away. Like usage lists, so many good things. Hey man, good luck. Chotobom Bonichi. I'm sorry I butchered your name just now, but I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for taking a moment out of your day. Hang out with us here. It means a lot. For Lansky, you didn't get on with Rider, but you don't know how much of that is just being used to VS. Yeah, it's probably a bit. I was never a huge VS person. I mean, I always used VS reluctantly when I was using Unity. Why am I here? I'm just in the right area. Here we go. For each in, okay, dot collections. For each chunk collection in old arc, we'll just say collection. For each collection in, well, let's say chunk collection in old archetype dot collections. So for each of these collections, we need to go through. We know which collection is which by. How do we know this? I had like a component index list, didn't I? I guess each chunk collection says what its component type is. Actually, I guess we can go through the composition, huh? Here's the list of component types. It's sorted, which is good. But that's not useful here. Component type doesn't really provide us anything. This question is gonna be good. Yeah. I didn't even think about that, Doodliest. The question never arrived. All right, for each of these chunk collections, Here's the question. Here's the real question. The chunk collection should match the composition, right? And the collection knows what its component type is. Yeah. But that's not particularly useful information. Here's the trick. Here's the trick with the T here. We need to know which one we're talking about. And I have not figured out a way to do that yet. I mean, it's okay in the system. Like, a system can just say, I want this type, and I expect this type to be associated with this. But how do we do that everywhere else? Generics are never a fun time. But we're going to get there. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. Somehow. Where you mod, there wouldn't have even been a combo. Well, you know, you got to stay up to date on what the current, what the current technology is. You gotta implement the honeypot sometimes, right? Profile account creation date and profile setup, red flags. Account creation date, October 21st. Yeah, probably. Well, you know, you're kind of asking for being made a mod here too, dude. Lias, don't give yourself more work. All right, so here's our problem. We need to get this thing out of the chunk. And we have a process for doing this, but you need to know what type you're looking for first. Which you'd think is a problem we've addressed already, which it sort of is. But I kind of presumed that the system would know what type it's dealing with. I want to be able to use type, like type, like this type, like C# type, the type class. But I feel like I don't totally understand how to utilize the type class correctly in this case. I feel like that's the way to do it. You just use type and then you say... You say type. Well, see, now we need to be able to get an actual instance of the type. The type from which the current type directly inherits. This just returns another type, though. I guess we just use the type? I don't know. Okay, so this doesn't work with interfaces. That's interesting. I feel like this is the way we do this. But I need to be able to get the type back. I don't want the handle. The handle that's too hardcore. I don't think I want the handle. Yeah, that gives me a runtime type handle. I don't want that. I don't need that. That's too crazy. The methods. So if I want to plug this in, I need to be able to get the underlying type out. And I guess it's just that, get underlying type. Unless it's here somewhere. Get type. So does this return T? Or does it just return a type? It returns just a type. I need to go the other direction. I need to go from type to a specific T. This is like a newbie C# problem. Probably a way to do this with like reflection. Does streaming help you solve problems, or would you be more productive without it? That is a great question. That is a great question. I think it helps me more than anything be consistent, because if I don't have a commitment of like I stream this day for this many hours, it's really easy for me to like blow it off and to convince myself that I'm like busy doing other things. But because I'm like, I stream at this time, this is the time that I work on the game. Like having the accountability of an audience, of a community here with me, helps a lot. All right. Get T from type C#. Okay, I don't want to know what type of objects it contains. Well, maybe I do. No, I don't want type of. I want to go the other way. Here's the problem. I'm trying to go other way. The other way. We provide accountability. I mean, you're welcome. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think the type class is going to be the way we do this. I just need to dig more into this thing. So I don't need to retrieve a type object. I'll have the type object. You do the opposite. Compare type objects? No, that's not what I want to do. Maybe I'm not thinking about this correctly. Maybe I'm not clearly understanding what I'm actually trying to do. Because the thing we're trying to do is, well, like, we're going through a chunk collection. A chunk collection is not type specific. I mean, it is, but I can't refer to it as being type specific here. It's just a chunk collection. But the chunk collection is filled with actually T specific chunk collections. So like, it's just this is the abstract class. And then there's specific class, like T type specific versions of the chunk collection. And that's what's actually filling this list, not this abstract collection. So maybe what we need is a way to get the T back from this. Maybe we need a function. I can't refer to T here though, is the problem. I can't refer to it in this abstract thing. I guess we could give the type. If I pass a type in to this T, does that work? Or it's got to be like type.underlying type or something like that. Because my problem is that it seems like all of the functions of type don't return T. It just returns another type. So I just don't know how to get from type to a T, to an actual, like, the concrete type that it's based on. That's what confuses me. Make generic type. Let's see. Let's look at this. Make generic type might have something to do with what we actually want. Oh, okay, so this isn't really what I want. This is for evaluating whether something is generic or not, I think. Now, I don't understand an aspect of this, and that's okay. Oh, understanding T in C#. Maybe this is what I need to do. Maybe this is my lacking. Let me biggerize this so people can understand T with me. Oh, let's get some sweet ads going here, but over my head. Walgreens. The worst. Just the worst. Direct relief. I could use this. My back hurts so much. All right. Yeah, I want to learn about, I want to understand T. Frolansky subscribed with Prime. Google Ads have been listening to my back problems. Truly. Thank you for the subscription, Frolansky. I really appreciate that. It's scary how much that happens. Like, I'll be talking about something with my partner, and then she just gets an ad for it on her phone, like, an hour later, and we're like, suspicious? Yeah, I like all of this about, I want to understand how to use this better. Need to understand generics better. I don't think this is going to teach me anything about generics. This seems like a really this seems like it itself is an incredibly generic article, but let's see. I want to understand a little bit better about going back and forth. Like if we don't necessarily know the T, I want to get the T of the definite type of the thing. You'll take on them ads. Oh my god, this was the shortest article of all time. This didn't explain anything. What are we stuck on? We're stuck on some generics, some generic bullshit for Lansky. Our problem is concretely the fact that we have these lists of chunk collections with definite types, but we don't necessarily know the type as we're going through it. So honestly, the thing we probably do is just have like a get type. So the thing I don't understand, I know how to get the type out of this thing. Like, I know how to get the type, but if we want to go back the other way once we have the type, I don't know how we do that. Like, can you just plug a type into this T? Like, if T is a position, you would normally just plug in position. And so can you just plug in a type object instead, and it's equivalently the same? Maybe it is. Maybe it is, and I just don't know anything. So we're iterating through the chunk collections, and we have the component types, and we need to know what type is associated with the component type. So maybe we just have component type, public, abstract, type, get. Maybe we have this. Okay, so how would we do that? So how do we add a component? So when we add a component for the first time, when we create a component. When we create a component type, we make a new component type of T. We pass component ID in. So let's say this, let's try this. So can I just say public override type type is type of t. So is this how we have to do it? Probably. There's the is keyword. Would that do? No, but we're not checking. We're not like running through a list of types. We're like, we need to get it. We need to be definitively like, this is your type. And I think this is just how you do it. You just return a type of t, and we can have it defined here abstractly over the non-generic base class. And the actual implementation is able to give us the type of t for this component type. Because we can't just get the component's type of. We can't just be like type of component type, because its type is component type. We need to do this. We need to type is the type of t, component type.type. I don't love that, but I think that's what we need to do. Okay, sorry, I thought you were trying to have a switch case block for each type. No, the problem is all of our lists are based around these non-type specific base classes, but we don't actually know, and so the lists are filled of different heterogeneous type specific instances. And so we need to get the type of the heterogeneous instance. And this is honestly super simple. It's the simplest thing we could have done. I could have decided to do this earlier. I thought there was just maybe a easier way to do it. I honestly think we might run into some trouble with this. But let's see. Let's see if we can make this work. I still don't totally understand the type class because it represents types. I'm sure the compiler can just like swap it out. Like, what if I say I want to make a new component type with a type of t, or with the t is just a type plugged in? Like, I don't know if that works or not. Like, here's a type that we have, which is like a position. So it's super easy to be like, I want to make a new type of position. But can I honestly just be like, I want a new type of type? And fill in the type there. Obviously, the class definition here is just t, but I'm talking about like when we instance one. Let me look at one of our definite types. What do we do here? Component type is game world. Okay, component type position. Let's see if we can make this work. So here, we're going for each chunk collection in old archetype.collections. The reason we need to do this is we need the chunk collection T to be able to cast a span. And I guess, honestly, we could do the same thing here where we say type is type of T, and the chunk collection could just have its own type, and that saves us one indirection. But I'm going to keep it like this for now. I'm going to keep it, we have to look it up through the component type, but we might do the same thing here to the chunk collection. Okay, so we're going to say so we just need to move these over to the new archetype. We just need to go through. We're just going to say, so we've got for each chunk collection, we're going to get the actual. Now we need to get a particular chunk. I almost want to get chunk or a get some kind of. Well, we can't have a. Yeah, I guess we have to get the chunk generically. We need to say chunk. We'll say variable chunk equals. This should be lowercase. Chunk collection dot. What do we call this? What do we say this is? Chunks. Chunks. Dot chunks. Indices dot interchunk. So we identify the chunk by that. We probably won't declare all these variables. I'll probably simplify this, but I kind of just want to write it out like this so I can think about it. So the component is the chunk collection dot chunks. Oh, it's not the chunk. It's the chunk dot. Oh no, it's going to be, so the component is, oh, we can't even, here we go. Span is chunk collection, or is chunk collection dot span, chunk collection dot span. Here's where we need to pass in a t though. Or maybe we don't. We just say span. Chunk collection, span. Can we do that? Oh, it's a static. Chunk collection. Maybe it shouldn't be static. Because now we need to put in the type. We need to say chunk collection dot component type dot type. That doesn't resolve, right? Oh no, it's this chunk collection. Cannot resolve symbol chunk collection. Yeah, this isn't this. You can't just pass a type into this, so we're not going to do it this way. We're going to say, so this is not going to be static. This is going to be do it like this. Oh, we don't even call it this. We call it read write. Okay. We're going to say span is chunk collection dot read write. Oh, why doesn't that work? Chunk. Oh, you don't have this. You need to have this. That makes sense. Public abstract. Oh, we can't do it like this. Okay. Yeah, we need to know the type. This is tough. I've painted myself into a corner here. Using generics. And I need to think about how we do this. I need to do some research. We're trying to use a function. This is why I made it static, is so we could invoke chunk collection t and it would just give us the right. Let's try to make that static again, and let's see if we can get the t. Let's see if we can get the t here. So the span would be chunk collection dot read only, and it needs the chunk. So we need to specify the type. It's going to tell me you need to specify the type. Well, I can't resolve the symbol. We need to specify the type here. I don't know why I can't resolve this symbol here. Chunk collection T. It's got to be T. It's got to invoke the T. Chunk collection. Chunk collection T.read only. I need to define the T, yeah? It's not yelling at me about this, but it's definitely not going to work. This is where you would say something like position. You'd specify the type. So can we do this? This is the question that I have. Is can we say collection dot component type dot type? Oh, it can't be it's this. So yeah, we can't do this. Maybe if I say variable type equals chunk collection dot component type dot type. Maybe if I try to plug type in here, because I feel like you can't substitute T for type, right? We say T, where do we say type dot, no, type dot get underlying gotta go back to the docs. Let's go back to the type. We probably need a different approach to this. This is probably me not understanding how to go back and forth with generics correctly. Is invoke something we want to use for this? This doesn't feel right. This feels kind of gross. I'm going to look at some other C# ECS things. I've looked at a few, and they've been what I would consider overly complicated, but I know of one that does something similar as far as using generics to deal with the types. I need to look at how they do this, about how they go back and forth. Dev Raphael TR curious, why are you using generics if you want to know the type inside the generic class itself? It sounds like non-generic. Here's the problem that we have. So we're doing like an ECS, Raphael. Also, welcome to the channel. We're doing an ECS, so our world has, like archetypes. Each archetype has, a list of components. And each of those, lists of components has like chunks, which represent the buffers of actual data. So the buffers are all just memories of bytes. The chunk knows what kind of type it is, so it knows its definitive type. But because we have a list of these and they're different types, I've been just kind of having a list of chunk collections with like abstract base classes that aren't type specific, so we can just have a list of these. But the problem I'm running into is I'm having a hard time getting access to stuff that needs to know the definite type underneath. Like this, like the big one, the one we're running into right now is span. Span needs to obviously know the type that it's reinterpreting its stuff to. We could maybe change up how some of this works. we're allocating memories of bytes so that they're all the same size, but we could maybe change that. But then that's just moving the problem one level down. It's not actually solving this problem. So like if we're trying to move an entity from one archetype to another, we are needing to know, like we're going through and we're trying to go through each collection of chunks. And if we want to get the span, we need to know what this type is. And we need to get this somewhere, but I can't seem to just plug in the type. Like I have the chunk collection. I know the type of this component just by getting its actual type, like the type class. But you can't just plug a type class into T. Like here's the problem. Like I'm struggling with this. And so maybe I'm just malforming it. I haven't used C# a lot. We kind of got back into C# a couple weeks ago. So I think I need to just think about this problem more and how to encapsulate it in a way that works so that those who know the underlying definitive type can do the thing, and those who don't know don't need to know. That's the challenge. Because like this isn't a problem for the systems that operate on it, because the systems know what type they want to operate on, and they know what the idea of that type is. Maybe, no, that won't work. I need to understand more about how the compiler resolves the generics if we're going to do it this way. I should just look more into how other people are doing it. I wonder how we get this T out in such a way that we can use it. Because the thing knows what it is. It knows what type it is. This must have a problem with all of this stuff needs to be accessible from this one. And so I can't just return a T, which is why I've specified this as a type. But we can't use that. Because we can't just plug the type in places as far as I can tell. I've tried looking into it. I don't understand really what type is useful for in this case. So I can't seem to actually use it the way I would want to. Because if I could just say, you know, chunk collection of this type, then trivial, easy. Type is a type. Can't really. Alright, type. Yeah, this can't work with a type. I guess it has to be T, and we have to define T somewhere. How do we do that, though? Everywhere else, T is just specified as being unmanaged. I'm gonna snooze the ads because we're at the 2-hour mark. I hope I caught that. I don't know how much longer this stream is gonna be, because I'm a bit tired, and like I said, I'm experiencing chronic pain at the moment. Yeah, only T would work there. Can't use variable nor type of. Yeah, exactly, Raphael. Dev. It has to be T, and I need to define T somewhere. Or do I? Is this just valid code? Does the instance of this chunk? Well, the chunk doesn't know. Yeah, I don't know how you get this. I don't use generics because I hate generics. Got to bounce. Good luck. Hope the back gets better soon. Thank you for Lansky. Yeah, it's no worries. We're probably wrapping it up soon. I need to understand this cipher here about how I define this T in a way that works. Because I can't just be like where T is. Well, I don't want to say unmanaged. I want to say type or something like that. The only other way I could think about doing this. Last chunk collection is never instantiated. I mean, it is. Not now, though. T is the type passed when called add component T. Isn't it the type that you want? Yeah. I mean, T could be anything. It could be any number of components. I just don't understand where I'm specifying this, because we're not passing a T into this function. Oh yeah, we are. Add component T. Well, no, it's not. So that's where it's getting this T from. It's add component T, where T is unmanaged. This is the problem. This is for the new component. So yes, eventually we will do that. But what we're currently trying to do is iterating through the collection and moving all the other components over. In which case, no, we still need to know what type it is. You're making me want to get some tea. Yeah, me too. That's actually a good idea. I might do that. I got to get back to my day job at 2 o'clock. I have a little bit of time. Yeah, T is the type when passed add component. That is accurate. Oh, I love how it still it freezes the row up to there so that I know what function I'm working on. Ooh, it even tells me which scope I'm in. Oh, writer is so good. I didn't even realize that this was happening up top here. I was like, how did you know what function I'm in? Yeah, I need to figure something out. I need to figure out how to be able to get the T out of the chunk collection. Or I need to just do this a different way. This might be something I just have to think about and do a different way. Because, yeah, there's a bunch of different T's. So I don't want to specify the T, I just want to be consistent about it. So yeah, we can't just do this. Shoot. Okay, we need to do something else. Because yeah, adding component, we know what type we're dealing with because only the system is going to add the component, and the system knows what type it's using. So the system can be like, I want to add a position component to this entity, and it's like, great. Because the system definitively knows what it's working with. But the problem is this system, whenever I have to copy over, it needs to be able to do so. Is there a way for it to be able to do so without knowing what the underlying type is? Oh, there is. There is a way to do that, I think. It's a little tricky. It's a little tricky, and I'm hesitant to do it because it's very error prone. But because the chunk is just a memory of bytes, we could just grab the bytes associated with that component and move them. We would need to know the size of the component, but the problem is, or the size of the individual struct that we're trying to move, but we actually know that. Oh, maybe this is the direction we go. Maybe this is the direction we go. Maybe we can get away with not knowing the type and just straight moving the chunk. So moving the bytes in the chunk that we need to move. That's risky. That's super risky. There's probably a better way to do that. Because we need to know the aligned. We need to know where they're aligned. We need to make sure we were only moving the bytes that we needed. That would be a really easy way to corrupt whatever memory we're... I mean, not corrupt the memory, but basically get completely... I guess corrupt is the correct word. That would be how you would corrupt the memory that you're trying to work on. That's a way of doing it that doesn't require knowing the type. So let's think about that. But there's got to be a better way to do this. I'm going to do some research. I hate when one of these streams end with me like very frustrated hitting a brick wall, but that's really honest. It's pretty much what game dev is. You hit a blocker and then you figure out how to get through the blocker and then you hit another blocker. But I think this is okay for our first stream in a week here. We'll be back tomorrow, I promise, at this new time. We'll maybe try to go a little longer. I want to work my way up to like 3 or 4 hour streams, but I don't know if I'm in a place to be able to do that yet. Dev, Raphael, maybe it's worth to give a look later on how Unity does its ECS systems. It's built in and uses C#. I used Unity's ECS system for like 3 or 4 years. By the way, I really appreciate the follow. I think I mentioned that already. It's awesome. It uses a ton of like source gen and like other things. That would be like a whole nother thing. But there's a couple other C# ECS systems that don't. That I think I can utilize. But yeah, if worst case scenario, I'll just crack open the old Unity ECS source code. Because that would also work. That would also work. But yeah, welcome to the community. Really appreciate you hopping in here. We're going to be streaming Tuesday through Saturday. I've been a little inconsistent lately, but I've been switching my schedule around, and I think we're settled on a new schedule. What's today? We're at episode 98 today. Friday is episode 100. That's exciting. I don't know if we're going to do anything special for it. But that's pretty cool, right? Anyway, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to... not sure that I can stave off the next ad. I might have used all my snoozes. Oh, I have one more snooze. So I think we're wrapping up for today. I'm going to figure out how we want to approach this. We can either really try to figure out if we can do this the way I'm thinking here. We might need to reorganize some things to be less type dependent. We might even be able to just move memory around in byte form if I can figure out a safe way to do that and not even have to know about the types involved. That would be pretty cool. Component types know their size, which is pretty cool. So it's possible. It's possible. Can I just say T? It's T. I can't do this, can I? You can't just return a generic. Cannot change return type when overwriting. Oh, because that's it. I can't do that here. Cannot resolve symbol T. Yeah. Well, we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. I believe. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks for hanging out today. And good luck with your own work. Or whatever you've got going on in your life. You got this. Bye. Thanks, Dev. Really appreciate that. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you and everyone else next time.